one of those things that it hits you, and
Hmm.
that's similar feeling. But what you did in that scene, um, you created this atmosphere of wider shots and longer. You feel that there's everybody sitting around staring at this guy, like who is this guy asking for money? And there's pride being destroyed, and he feels so lonely in that shot, and I felt it too. But again, if you had done close-ups, I probably don't think that would have worked. You just created that
Hmm.
environment with those shots.
You know, I'm not going to take full credit for that. That's Ron Howard. That's Ron really, you working his shot list out and how he wants that scene to feel and portray that feel. I was just there as the first mate to help bring that ship along, um, with a few suggestions here and there, which was you know, interesting, very
Yeah, well, it's
interesting.
it's 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 a collaborative effort, but
Yes.
at the same time, like there's all I know from experience that sometimes a DP would come up with an idea, sometimes a director would come up with an idea, but you don't keep track of those things because it's a
No,
collaborative
you
effort.
don't. You don't.
Yeah.
It's nice. Another emotional scene is when he first goes to the relief office to get money,
Mm.
which from what we understand from his family, that was extremely, extremely difficult for him to do. And there was a whole story that happened afterwards that I'll tell you about in a second that is not in the film, nor
Mm.
was it filmed, but something that happened in reality. But to shoot that scene, I really drew on this painter named George Tucker. And George Tucker did like this cubist type of painting of depressed people. And there's like one like utilitarian painting in a governmental office where there were glass windows with the holes in them and people through it. And I I said to Ron, let's film this like how this painter portrayed the feelings of his characters that he's painted. And we sort of took that into the relief office. And if you look at a George Tucker painting and look at the relief office, you go, oh, okay, that makes sense. I understand that now. Because we wanted to bring that weight in there too. And then we sort of changed it up when he brought the money back, when he repaid the relief office. And in reality, in reality, Jim Braddock went and got money from the relief office. Jim Braddock had a fight, won all that money, went back to the relief office and gave back the money to the penny that they gave him. On that day, there was there was the mayor's race
Mm.
happening during that time period. And on that day happened to be the challenger to the incumbent mayor at the relief office and sees Jim Braddock there. Does not know Jim Braddock was returning money to the relief office. And he went on this rant, and he was doing extremely well in the polls to beat the incumbent mayor. And he went on a rant about how here's this boxer who won all this money last night and is here taking money from the relief office, and
Oh
how,
wow.
yes, the relief office that night, because newspapers, they would have a daily news and evening news
Yeah.
and morning news paper. That night, they printed a rebuttal with the return receipt of Jim Braddock returning the money to the relief office. And that candidate wound up losing the mayoral race. Isn't that
Wow.
great? And then like what's so I know you go, wow, what's so amazing is that we do a film and we're painstakingly trying to be extremely accurate about somebody's life. And we, down to the penny that he borrows until the penny that he returns. And then later on, you happen to read something about it and you find out the whole backstory. And it's something like this. And it's like, wow, it's just pretty amazing.
That is one crazy story, and that deserves a film on its own, to be
I know,
honest.
right? Right? Isn't that like unbelievable? So Jim,
Wow.
like, the other great thing is that Jim Braddock really helped to lift the spirits of all, not just him and his family, but his whole community. Bergen, New Jersey, he just kind of changed people's lives because people felt that they too could have a chance of changing their lives somehow. Um, and it was just very inspiring at the time. And when you read about it, you hear, there's a lot of details about how inspired so many people's lives.
Yeah.
You're
And
just
that,
like, when does a boxer inspire a whole community's life and give them hope?
well, it's kind of what I'm not going to talk about in detail because I want to save this up for another episode. The film Unstoppable
Uh,
about Anthony Robles. That's sort of the way you kind of wrap that film out, which is what I really liked, and I don't want to give it away, is the same thing that how a community is affected by that. Like how the next set of, people who would want to do something similar or something different, but to be inspired. And that's
mhm.
a great messaging, because it makes a difference. It only takes one, like, like someone like Steven Spielberg or someone like Ron Howard or someone like yourself. People always, the percentage of people looking up to other people is probably different, but for one person, you could be the god of cinematographer or the god of directing. And it makes a huge impact. It makes a big
It
difference.
it does. It really does. And that's why I like being involved with that high school, or Bell High School, to inspire young people, give people hope and letting them know the ability that they could change their lives or follow a dream and and make it a reality. It's not it's I think you know not to get into politics, but we are sort of having a rough time here in the United States, and I think it's time that people sort of really inspire other people and help people to sort of better themselves and move on and be better citizens in society. And I think we do that in film on a whole different level. And it's just nice when somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, I saw that movie and it sort of made me feel like this, or changed my life," or you know, um, how you just we started the conversation, how you really related to it, and inside I'm smiling as you're telling me that because I was just like, "Wow, I touched you."